sec. Could you turn? I will turn it sec.
Matt? Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Voyager. No, seriously. Even though it's a bit of a sci-fi motion, we think we should treat it both as a bit of a space sci-fi motion, but also as a regular international relationships motion. Because what we're talking about here is the creation of a relationship with a new form of government, species, and the real question, the most important question in this debate, how is this forming of this relationship, how is it going to look like, how are we forming, we're making the first advances into creating the best relationship possible with a new counterpart, with a new actor in the world arena. Now, if we're thinking about how we should portray ourselves to a new actor, to someone we don't know, we think the best portrayal is the whole portrayal, the one that includes most aspects of ourselves, the one that gives a better accurate description of this. Why? Because once you meet a new actor, once you meet a new person, even on the individual level, the most important thing to create between you is trust. And trust is built on realistic expectation. If, for example, clarification?
Not really.
Then not really. We think that building a realistic expectation is extremely important. Why? Because if I portray only the best part of myself, I look as a wonderful country. I give civil rights to everyone, even though it might not be true. That I help my poor, even though it's not true. That all I have is Beatles music and not just death metal as well. But if I portray only the best parts and the aspects of myself, once I actually meet someone, the truth is about to come out. They will discover that we have war. They are going to discover that people are starving in Africa and no one is doing anything about it. They are going to discover the worst part of humanity as well. And we think this is, if what they have seen on the Voyager is only the best part of us, the trust is going to be broken immediately. Because what first of all, they might think to themselves, we have been lied to. This is not what we have expected to see. This is something completely different. This is something much more awful. We have been lied to on the very basic level of who are we going to meet. And we think this, even though we're talking about aliens, we can also describe this in between two countries that are communicating with only on the political level and without media. This is the right, if you're not exposed to what's actually going on in a specific country like North Korea, and only what you have is what the government is telling you they have, obviously you're not getting a real portrayal of how people's life actually look like. And they might be much more awful, and you wouldn't want to deal with that country. You might want to sanction that country. You might not actually want to be in touch, and the trust between those two countries is broken. Secondly, they might think, no, not right now, thank you. Secondly, they might think, well, I might not have been lied to, but things has gone shit-wired here since the 70s. It's been a bit of a time, but obviously this planet is on the brink of collapse. Obviously things are going from bad to worse, and we should not get involved in this. Or maybe, on the other hand, we should get too involved in this, such as we see in cases where in the third world or in the Middle East, when things in countries are going from bad to worse, some countries from the West decide to intervene. So this is something we don't want from optimistically, we wouldn't want aliens to intervene and to invade our planet in order to peacekeep it, because what they think is that we used to have a wonderful planet, and now, because of bad management, we have reached a poor execution of this world. Before I go on, yes, James?
Would you show suffering just from kind of around the 70s, or would you show it from, say, the Mongol invasion? And if not, how long do you think it's going to take for the aliens to get to planet Earth?
About the first part, I would give samples. I don't really care if you have videotapes from the Mongol invasion, fine. And secondly, how would it take them here? I don't know. This is maybe a sci-fi debate, but it could be 100 years, it could be next year. But you know what? My better guess is Christmas. Okay. Secondly, why would we want to show abilities that we don't have at the moment? Why would we want to show a whole kind of a better portrayal of ourselves? Because we want to show also our strengths. Obviously, when you're dealing with a new actor, you don't know what his capabilities are, both military, both governmental. You don't know what his capabilities are. You want to show your strengths as well. And we think this serves both parties. First of all, it serves us. It shows that we are not easily abused. It's not easily to conquer us. It's not easily that we also have an aggressive side to us, that we also can fight back. Now, James might say I think what James might have meant is that maybe they have much more advanced technology and they can easily conquer us. So maybe that's why Stella is tapping over there. But that will be true in either case. So even if we show them and we don't show them, it's still true. But when we portray ourselves only as happy nation, it portrays an easier conquest, if that's what you mean. But we think it's also served the other side as well. How does it serve them? If they are a peaceful species, if they are someone who doesn't want to get involved in a conflict or in a war, or if there's someone who is very peaceful and their entire way of life is one of harmony, they might not be for their best interest to contact us. It might harm their civilization, their culture, if they will come into contact with a culture so much inflicted with aggression, so much inflicted with war, and we don't want them to be infected from us. We think this serves both sides of the party. Is there any POI from closing opposition? No, okay. Lastly, I'm going to touch on the more sci-fi part of this debate. Well, if we're talking about an alien, and maybe illegal aliens, we should talk about, no, I'm just kidding. Maybe their ways of communication, no, thank you, James. Maybe their way of communication does not include our ways of communication. Maybe the things we send on the Voyager are songs from the Beatles, are pictures of flowers and sunset and things like that. Maybe it's a deaf alien species who cannot understand music. Maybe it's a species that harmony isn't something they quite can grasp and wrap their head around. Maybe aggression is their way of communication. We think that once we include all forms of communication humans have, such as aggression, such as baring our teeth, such as going to war, maybe this is a way of communication they might actually understand. This is another way to explain ourselves to them, because we don't know what they can and cannot grasp and understand from us. We should show a whole kind of picture that might portray all sides, that will show all aspects of our life. Some of them they might be able to understand, some of them they not, and we should try, if we're actually trying to make a communication with another species, we should try as wide a range as possible. For all these reasons, we beg you to propose, and for the children.